Station Houston on Space to Ground 2 for undock status.
With you, too.
Yeah, Jack, just wanted to let you know that we're troubleshooting a part of the GNC system on Dragon. We're looking, right now we're still go for undock, but we want to regain full redundancy. And because of that, we're going to delay undock till 1620. That's our new target.
Hey guys, troubleshooting GNC. You can still undock, but you're choosing not to, and you're targeting 1620 for the next attempt. Thanks for the update.
That's a good read, and obviously that shifts your constraints on the shutters and the exercise to the right. 20 minutes.
All right, we're copying the constraints shift in right for shutters, and take 2. Station. I think you implied this, but the GNC issues on the Dragon side, not on the station side. Is that correct?
Jack, with you on 2. Yeah, we had a radiation hit on axis 2 of the accelerometer. Per our flight rules, we can still undock in our current state, but we're going to power cycle that IMU so that we can regain full redundancy.
Okay, that makes sense. It's on the Dragon side. I appreciate the clarification.
As you just heard Capcom speaking with NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, undocking has been delayed. The physical undocking of Dragon has been delayed to 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern. SpaceX is working to power cycle one of the 6 IMUs, or inertial measurement units, to ensure they have the proper data and gain full redundancy they need with the GNC system. We're expecting that undock command at 11:20 a.m. Central, 12:20 p.m. Eastern. with an undocking or physical separation targeted for 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 a.m. Eastern.
Sensation on 2 for exercise constraints.
With you on 2, Jessica.
Yeah, the changes in undock time, I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page with you for exercise. It looks like the no exercise constraint is only for 5 minutes, beginning at undock and lasting for 5 minutes, and then the no T2 is 20 minutes after undock, lasting for 10 minutes. So right now, the current undock of 4:20, the first one would begin at 4:20, is that correct?
You are correct, Jessica.
All right, great, thanks. And we're still looking at 4:20 currently, correct?
That's correct, 1620.
Okay, copy, thanks.
And as we wait for that undock command in a little over 6 minutes from now, here's a look at the 7 Expedition 74 crew members living and working aboard the International Space Station. At the top are the crew of 4 that arrived in February aboard NASA's SpaceX Crew 12 mission. From left to right are NASA astronauts Jessica Meir, Jack Hathaway, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev. Upon their arrival to the space station in February, they joined the below crew of 3 that arrived to the International Space Station aboard the Soyuz MS-28 on Thanksgiving, which was November 27th, 2025. From left to right are International Space Station Commander and Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kudzvirchkov, NASA astronaut Chris Williams in the middle, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Mikheyev. You are currently seeing a live look at the uncrewed SpaceX Dragon cargo spacecraft currently docked to the International Space Station's forward port of the Harmony module. We just heard between the SpaceX teams and Mission Control here in Houston that SpaceX has concluded that troubleshooting and they had a good power cycle. They're in a good nominal state with full redundancy recovered. Teams at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California, and here in Mission Control, Houston, just pulled go to send the undocking sequence here in just about 1 minute from now. We are now just under 1 minute away from that undock command being sent, and there are no concerns for departure at this time. We are standing by for that undock command. The undock sequence has begun. With that undock command being sent, the departure process is completely autonomous. Those umbilicals were attached following the docking of Dragon spacecraft last month, and they help provide data and telemetry between the space station to the Dragon spacecraft. And we have confirmation that those umbilicals have been demated. Next up will be the retraction of the 12 hooks that are currently attaching Dragon to the International Space Station. The first set of hooks are driving. It's been just a minute since that undock command was sent, and again, the entire undock sequence takes about 5 minutes from when the command was sent to the physical separation taking place that we're expecting here at 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern. Once all 12 hooks have unlatched, there will be 2 short thruster firings that'll help break any stiction and then push Dragon initially away from the International Space Station. You are currently seeing a live look of the uncrewed SpaceX Dragon cargo spacecraft currently docked to the International Space Station's forward port of the Harmony module. And the first set of hooks are now open, and Dragon is committed to undock.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 2 for undock status. First set of hooks open. Dragon is committed to undock.
The second set of hooks are continuing to drive open.
Sorry, Station East Dragon's committed to undock.
We're about a minute and a half away from the expected physical separation. And we have confirmation that the Dragon spacecraft has undocked from the International Space Station at 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern, as the space station was traveling 260 miles over the North Pacific.
Dragon separation confirmed.
And you just heard that call up there from the Capcom, or capsule communicator. Capcom is here on the ground at Mission Control Houston and serves as the voice link between the crew and the ground.
Station Houston, Dragon departure burn 0 complete.
And we do have confirmation that that first departure burn was completed. That was a 17-second burn and the first of 4 departure burns, which helped to move Dragon further away from the International Space Station. With that undocking confirmed at 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern, the space station was traveling 260 miles over the North Pacific. If you're just now joining us, we're live from the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Mission Control Houston, providing coverage for the undocking of SpaceX's 34th Commercial Resupply Services mission for NASA. Good views here of the Dragon cargo spacecraft, which separated from the International Space Station at 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern. Dragon is now maneuvering toward exiting the keep-out sphere and eventually the approach ellipsoid. The next burn will be in under 2 minutes, around 11:30 a.m. Central, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. That burn will last about 23 seconds and will help move the spacecraft beyond the keep-out sphere. Some really great views here from the departing SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. There on the bottom is the forward port of the station's Harmony module. And we're about 30 seconds away from departure burn 1, which will last about 23 seconds. And we just received confirmation that depart burn 1 is taking place, which will last about 23 seconds. Now the Dragon cargo spacecraft is moving through that keep-out sphere, and again, that's the first of 2 safety boundaries. Depart burn 1 is complete and was nominal. Good views of the International Space Station here.
Station Houston, departure burn 1 is complete.
On the bottom of your screen, you can see the docking port that Dragon just undocked from, and then at the top, just above that docking port, is the NASA SpaceX Crew 12 vehicle named Freedom that delivered the Crew 12 crew back in February of this year.
Station Houston, Dragon has exited the keep out sphere.
And we just heard that Dragon has exited the keep out sphere. And here's a good visual on your screen of the keep out sphere and approach ellipsoid. These are two imaginary safety boundaries around the space station. They require go, no go poles in the unlikely event that something goes wrong with an approaching or departing spacecraft. The first is called the keep out sphere, which we just heard the call that Dragon has exited. And think of it like the neighborhood of the space station. It extends 200 meters away from the orbiting laboratory. And once Dragon passes through that keep out sphere, which it just did, it'll then travel out and pass what is called the approach ellipsoid, which will ultimately set the Dragon cargo spacecraft up on its journey back to Earth on a 24-hour safe free drift trajectory. Once Dragon exits that approach ellipsoid, NASA will be out of joint operations with SpaceX and their mission control team in Hawthorne, California. The SpaceX team will continue to monitor the rest of Dragon's autonomous flight through splashdown. The next burn that Dragon will undergo is Depart Burn 2, which will be in about 43 minutes from now. At that time, we will be out of joint operations with SpaceX, and we won't be live for that coverage.
Houston, Chris on 2 for a Yative, a question.
With you on 2, Chris.
Hey, I am temp stowing this UAV 1485 install, and I noticed we've had a UAV temp stowed there for a while now, 1318. I just wanted to double check if we were tracking that as back in the Node 3 end cone, or if we're tracking it as temp stowed in install.
We're checking.
I guess the better question is, where do we actually want that one?
Copy. We'll get you an answer.
If you're just joining us, you're watching live coverage of the undocking of SpaceX's 34th Commercial Resupply Services mission for NASA to the International Space Station. Docking was delayed by 20 minutes, ultimately undocking at 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern, as SpaceX powered cycled one of the 6 IMUs, or inertial measurement units, to ensure they had the proper data and gain full redundancy. SpaceX concluded that troubleshooting with a good power cycle and full redundancy was recovered. SpaceX will make up for that delayed undocking time with its burn plan, targeting to splash down off the coast of California at 5:11 a.m. Pacific Time, 7:11 a.m. Central tomorrow, June 17th. While we await Dragon's exit of the approach ellipsoid, let's take a look at some of the science and research experiments returning to Earth on board Dragon today.
Chris, on to you.
All right, well, thank you for letting us know about 1318. We would like that stowed in Node 3 port in cone. And also one request, when you have those photos you just took of the other UAV, can you please let us know that they're on the SSD for us?
Absolutely. I'm going to put them on SSC6 in a moment. And where in the port end cone would you like that one? We have multiple CTVs that we've been trying to put them.
While today's undocking takes place, there's still activity taking place aboard the International Space Station. While we await the exit of approach ellipsoid, let's take a look at some of the science returning today. The atmospheric waves experiment concludes its mission with today's departure. During more than 2 years aboard the space station, the atmospheric waves experiment captured over 80 million nighttime images and investigated how storms, hurricanes, and other events affect satellite communications and critical navigation systems. Data from this experiment will be made available to the public, allowing researchers and citizen scientists to continue exploring Earth's atmosphere and space weather. Also returning on board Dragon is the InSpa Auxilium bioprinter, which explores new ways to 3D print replacement tissues and medical devices in space that could help repair injuries and improve patient care here on Earth. 1 cartilage tissue, 1 liver tissue, and 1 kidney tissue are returning to Earth for analysis. Results could help advance treatments for cartilage injuries and organ disease on Earth. Also packed inside Dragon is the ZBA-NC. This helps researchers improve cryogenic fluid storage for fuel and life support systems by understanding how a gas layer affects pressure, boiling, and fluid movement inside super cold fuel tanks in space. ZBA-NC returns to Earth with 12 hard drives containing nearly 10 terabytes of data collected aboard the space station. Results could prevent fuel loss on future missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. And also returning is MEF-1, which aims to uncover how spaceflight affects blood clotting and the body's immune response. The results could support new ways to keep astronauts healthy during future exploration missions. Biological samples are returning to Earth for analysis to better understand how spaceflight impacts the function of blood clotting cells. If you're just now joining us, we are live from the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Mission Control, Houston, providing coverage of the undocking of SpaceX's 34th Commercial Resupply Services mission for NASA to the space station. The Dragon cargo spacecraft is separated from the International Space Station, and that undocking took place at 11:25 Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern. While Dragon and the International Space Station were flying 260 miles over the North Pacific. And we have confirmation that Dragon has exited the approach ellipsoid. Dragon is now over 1,000 meters away from the International Space Station. Critical science, research, and hardware is officially on its way to researchers and teams on the ground to benefit humanity. Now, the SpaceX team will continue to monitor the Dragon cargo spacecraft through its next milestones and burns as it makes its way to splashdown.
Station Houston for Dragon undocking and departure status. Dragon is outside the approach ellipsoid on a 24-hour safe-free drift trajectory.
Station copies all. That's great news, and hope it has a safe and wonderful ride home.
Good words from NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, and with that, the Dragon spacecraft for NASA's SpaceX 34th Commercial Resupply Services mission has safely departed the International Space Station today at 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern, as the space station and Dragon were traveling 260 miles over the North Pacific Ocean. Docking was delayed by 20 minutes, ultimately pushing undocking to 11:25 a.m. Central, 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time today as SpaceX power cycled one of the 6 IMUs, or inertial measurement units, to ensure they had the proper data and full redundancy. SpaceX concluded that troubleshooting with a good power cycle and full redundancy was recovered. SpaceX will make up for that delayed docking time with its burn plan, targeting to splash down off the coast of California at 5 a.m. Pacific, 7:11 a.m. Central tomorrow, June 17th. Just a few minutes ago, the spacecraft crossed the approach ellipsoid, and joint operations between the NASA Mission Control Team here in Houston and the SpaceX Flight Control Team in Hawthorne, California has concluded. The Dragon spacecraft spent about a month docked to the forward port of the space station's Harmony module, delivering thousands of pounds of research, hardware, and supplies to the orbiting laboratory for NASA. One of the most research-packed Dragon spacecrafts to return to date is now on its way back home completing the 34th SpaceX Commercial Resupply Services mission to the International Space Station. Splashdown is scheduled to take place tomorrow, June 17th, at approximately 7 a.m. Central, 5:11 a.m. Pacific off the coast of California. Splashdown won't be broadcast by NASA, but you can follow along for updates on NASA's Space Station blog at nasa.gov/blog/spacestation. And with that, we'll conclude our coverage today. Thank you for joining us for the departure of the Dragon spacecraft for NASA's SpaceX 34th Commercial Resupply Services mission to the International Space Station. This is Mission Control, Houston.